There are people on social media who will get angry over anything and try to cancel whoever they can, and over the past few weeks, Dave Chappelle's faced some pretty intense backlash over The Closer, but he's also received some amazing support. All of his shows are selling out, and he's making bank off of people talking about him and watching his comedy specials, but unfortunately, not all press is good press, because he came out during one of his recent shows and admitted that he's basically been blacklisted from the entertainment industry. I mainly want to read this Bounding into Comics article, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month or supporting via memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So let's read this article. It says Dave Chappelle says his documentary Untitled has been shunned by distributors following Netflix backlash. So it says, in a recent stand-up comedy routine, Dave Chappelle opened up about the resulting fallout from the release of his new Netflix special, The Closer, and the backlash he's received. Now, I watched The Closer. I actually thought a lot of the jokes in it were hilarious. Of course, there's a lot of people online that will try to cancel people that find this funny, that are trying to cancel Dave Chappelle himself over simply making jokes, but of course it says during this set, Chappelle also told the audience that his documentary film Untitled has been shunned by film distributors after members of the LGBTQ+ community, particularly transgender individuals, accused the comedian of transphobia. Now, when it comes to The Closer, I think a problem here that a lot of people have is the fact that everyone's attacking him over the fact that he made jokes that people are viewing as transphobic, but a lot of people haven't even watched The Closer that are complaining, and they don't realize that Dave Chappelle makes fun of literally anyone he can in his special. It's his brand of comedy. This is who he is. This is the type of a person that he's become and the type of jokes that he makes. And the thing is that a lot of people like us can recognize these are simply jokes. They're not meant to be taken seriously. They're not meant to make statements. But, of course, there are people out there who want to cancel him over simply making jokes. Again, he made fun of literally anyone that he could. If you were white, if you were black, if you were a transgender, if you were a straight person, all of those jokes are in The Closer. But it says, in summer of 2020, when the whole world shut down, I was outside doing my shows. My neighbor had a cornfield and he let me throw shows there, and people came from all over the country. Some people came from around the world to see the shows, he said, and the best comedians on earth came to my home and broke bread with me. We lived our lives. We found a way to keep moving forward. I made a whole documentary about it. This is actually pretty great to hear. He had great experiences. He wanted to document them and talk about them and show them to the world, but now distributors are blacklisting him. It says the first night of those shows was a piece of some of that you might have seen. It was called 846 and it dealt with the death, the murder of George Floyd. He explained, this film that I made was invited to every film festival in the United States, and some of those invitations I accepted. He's a great comedian. He's been extremely popular over the years, so of course people are going to reach out to him and want to work with him because he's so famous at this point. But unfortunately, after this Netflix situation and the controversy surrounding Dave Chappelle, no one will work with him now. It says, and when this controversy came out about The Closer, they began disinviting me from these film festivals, he continued. And now today, not a film company, not a movie studio, not a film festival, nobody will touch this. This is an absolutely terrible situation because while, yes, The Closer isn't being removed from Netflix yet, he's virtually been blacklisted from Hollywood and no one's gonna work with him. And Ben Shapiro actually tweeted at Chappelle and said, happy to take a look over here, Dave. And if you all don't remember, Gina Carano is working with Ben Shapiro after being blacklisted from the entertainment industry. But I bet there's other certain organizations that would work with Dave Chappelle in a heartbeat. But the question then becomes, does he really want to label himself? Most outlets that'll work with him are going to be self-proclaimed conservative outlets, and I personally don't have any problems with that, and he shouldn't either, but it'll lead to labels. This situation genuinely sucks because there's not a lot of comedians like him left because they're all afraid of being canceled, but Dave Chappelle isn't. He makes the jokes he wants, he says what he wants, and he doesn't feel bad for it. But of course, a lot of people do not like his jokes, so they want to cancel him. It says, circling back to his documentary, Chappelle mentioned that he desperately wants people to see it, and he also understands why some investors may be reluctant to support the project. I know if he released this documentary, I would watch it, and thousands of other people would. Look at The Closer on Netflix. That was in the trending, the top 10 for Netflix's watched specials for like 2 weeks. The Closer was in Netflix's top 10 list. There's so many people that would watch this, and it's unfortunate that no one wants to publish it, no one wants to release it for him. It says, I desperately want people to see this, but I understand why investors would be nervous. Since nobody will touch it, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make it available for you all in 10 American cities, going on sale in the next few days. And when he finally decides to release this, whatever he decides to do, maybe he'll end up making a deal with someone like Ben Shapiro. I know a lot of people would see it. Thousands, even millions of people would want to watch this, and I know that I'd be one of them. I do not get offended that easily by jokes put onto the internet or put onto Netflix or Hulu or whatever the platform is. I watch things to enjoy them. I don't watch them to cancel them and only critique them. So this article does bring up Ben Shapiro's tweet, and it also talks about the Gina Carano situation a little bit. It says, in February of this year, Disney fired Gina Carano from The Mandalorian after the former MMA fighter made an analogy that didn't sit well with the company's higher-ups. At the same time, Carano announced that she'd be working on a brand new project with the Daily Wire. We haven't heard much about this project, but of course we know that it's still in the works, and they're very excited to get it finished up. It says, this is what Daily Wire exists to do, provide an alternative not just for consumers, but for creators who refuse to bow to the mob. Ben Shapiro has proven that the Daily Wire's willing to work with basically anyone. They're working with Gina Carano. They might even work with Dave Chappelle. We don't know right now. Dave Chappelle didn't reply publicly, but I guess we're going to have to see. But the article continues, saying again, while Shapiro's tweet may come off as nothing but an afterthought, it is not quite the stretch to believe that the Daily Wire is more than willing to team up with Chappelle to help him distribute his Untitled documentary. After all, the Daily Wire is a company that openly advocates for free speech, and the whole controversy surrounding Chappelle's new Netflix special basically boils down to the LGBTQ community and its easily offended allies wanting to censor the comedian's routines. Jokes that Chappelle tells are definitely ones a lot of people won't like, but at the end of the day, he's a comedian just trying to make people laugh, and sometimes the jokes he says are gonna offend people, and I do hope someone picks up this documentary because I think it'll do great, just like his other specials have. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.